Hey everyone, hope everyone's having an awesome day. I decided to make this video because I came across a YouTube video that was titled The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. And it was based on a book written by this woman by the name of Bonnie Ware, who was a hospice nurse, and she spent decades of her life caring for people who only had 3 months to live. And the number one regret of the dying was, I wish I had the courage to live a life that's true to myself. And that really struck me hard because it's not something I think about too much anymore. But I also came to the realization that that's something that a lot of people go through. Most people are living a life that is not true to themselves, which is why it's a top 1 regret. And you might be one of those people as well. And I want to help you because it's something that I have dedicated a lot of time, a lot of research, a lot of study, and not only by learning from wisdom teachers, but also experiencing it for myself, because I have been through many times in my life that I realized that I wasn't living my life that's true to myself. And yes, it takes a lot of courage. I think the awareness is there, but the courage to actually take action towards it is so difficult. So before we go to what the action steps is going to be, and I do have some questions, 3 questions that you get to ask yourself to really find clarity for you in living the life that's really true to yourself, I want to take a back journey into why we have such a hard time living a life that's true to ourselves. So it goes back to when we were born. When we were born and you look at a little happy baby, a chubby, happy, bouncing baby, they are so true to themselves. They cry, they laugh, they poop themselves, they're chubby, they roll around, they don't care if their fat's showing. They never ever are too concerned about how they are coming across. And that's us as our authentic selves. This is who we are without any conditioning, without any kind of facade that's put on us. But eventually that baby grows up a little bit. And they start to realize that there's certain habits and certain behaviors that they have that causes them to not get love from their parents, because when a baby is born, it is 100% dependent on the parents. So it means that if you don't get love from your parents, you cannot survive, right? Anyways, I don't want to go down the path of parenting. Maybe one day I will, but the reality is this is what happens to us when we start to realize that, oh, if I start speaking up too much, or if I break things by accident too much, that means I'm a bad girl, a bad boy, and I don't get love. And if I don't get love, I don't get food, I don't get shelter, I don't get nurturance, I don't get security. So we start to protect ourselves by putting all these false layers on top of ourselves. What happens now is now we're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever years old, and we realize we haven't taken off those layers yet. We still care so much about what people think, from the jobs that we have, from the kind of education we get, from the kind of person we marry. Whether to have children or not is based on the opinions of other people, and we're not being true to ourselves. So first is understanding that this is something that's been with you since you were a baby, since you were a child, and it's okay. It's not your fault in a sense, right? Now is bringing awareness to it. Now that you have the knowledge of it, it's like, oh, you know what? This was something that was conditioned to me and I can change it. So understanding, getting that awareness will really help you in the next steps. So I have 3 questions that you got to ask yourself. The first question is, am I living my life that's true to myself? And this is where you really need to get honest with yourself, because a lot of the times people lie, right? I don't care if you lie to me, it doesn't really do anything to me. But when you lie to yourself, that's when you are going to see the detrimental effects on you. When you lie to yourself and you're like, yeah, I'm living my life that's true to myself, what happens is you're resisting what is. You're resisting what your current situation is. And every time that we resist, we cannot move forward. So you're always going to be stuck. And it doesn't matter how long you resist, you're going to keep getting stuck. So you have to either say yes or no, or maybe I do, maybe I don't in certain situations, but you have to start there. You have to be honest with yourself. And as soon as you admit it, then you could do something about it. The second question to ask yourself is, who or whose opinion matters the most to me? In other words, are there certain people in your life that just triggers you for some reason? Like you care so much about their opinion. Is it people in general? Is it certain people? Is it one person? Who is it? Ask yourself that question, because it's going to be very revealing to you why. Once you identified who that person is, you could start to ask yourself the question, what am I so afraid of losing if I do not comply to this person's rules for me, right? A lot of the times it comes down to money, love, like maybe you care so much about what your boss thinks, right? Because there's a sense of security that you get a paycheck, but you also at the same time when you're at work, you can't be yourself. Or maybe you care a lot about what your best friend thinks, because if you feel like if you don't comply by what they think is right for you, then you lose their friendship, you lose their security and love. It comes down to childhood again, right? Safety, security, love. When we do something that's outside of that, we may lose that. And then you take it a step further and you start to give that to yourself. Money, we think is security, it's really not, because every single penny that you made was made by you, right? It wasn't just came from the universe and dropped onto your plate and you have no control over it. So start being security for you, start being love for you. Start understanding that also people's opinions are basically their own scripts of how life should be. Everyone is living their life through their own eyes. We all have our little movies going on and we have our movie scripts going on. And you have to realize that even though your best friend or your boss even, or your mom cares so deeply about you, or maybe they don't care about you, I don't know, right? You have to understand they're coming from the perspective is you living a life a certain way, they have something to gain. And maybe sometimes it's at a conscious manipulative level that they actually know they're doing it, or it could be at a very subconscious level that they're doing it, but they don't even know. They think they're doing something that's good for you, but it's actually benefiting them in some way. So you understanding that every time people have an opinion for you or something that you should be doing is really their own script. And what you can do is just like smile and nod. All right, I get it. You have to kind of bring this lightheartedness to it. And the third question you have to ask yourself is, who would I be, or how would life be if I were to be true to myself? Because I think oftentimes we have a tendency of thinking the opposite. We think about like, if I start being honest, if I start being true to myself, if I start voicing my opinion, these are the things that's going to happen. It's going to be terrible. I'm going to lose love. I'm going to lose money. I'm going to lose my wife. Like all sorts of things are happening. But what if you asked yourself a different question? How would life be if I did live true to myself? Or who would I become if I did live true to myself? And ask yourself the question over and over again. That's a question I ask myself all the time. I ask myself the question probably every morning, every minute that I get. I'll go, how would life be if I did become creative? How would life be if I did take this leap? And that's how it starts. So first, I wanted to give you guys the awareness to understand where it comes from. And then the 3 questions gives you a little bit more clarity. And now is the action step, is taking all the things that you know and taking one small step that you can towards living a life that's more true to you. Maybe for you is wearing a different outfit tomorrow. Maybe you're used to always wearing exercise clothes and you think to yourself, you know what? I want to dress up a little bit. I really want to accentuate certain qualities that I have because I feel like maybe that's a good expression of me. Maybe you dress a little differently. Maybe you start to wear your hair differently because you feel like it, because you're not conforming to other people's opinions. Or it could be like a big, huge thing for you, like living your life that's true to yourself is moving all the way across the world, like me, like what I did a year ago, right? It could be something so subtle or it could be something so huge, but there's no judgment around that. You just have to start taking steps towards it. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening to this video. It was an inspired video that I came up with, and I hope you enjoy this because it's important. It's important to start living life true to yourself because we cannot wait until we're on a deathbed to have that regret because guess what? It is too late at that point. So don't wait until it's too late. Live your life that's true to yourself and have an amazing day, everybody. Take care. Bye.